It was a rainy Monday morning when Ms. Raina Lou walked through the gates of Crestwood High, clutching a modest folder, her hair tied neatly in a bun, glasses resting gently on her nose, and a soft but unreadable expression masking her face. The corridors buzzed with the typical chaos of teenagers who had long stopped fearing rules or consequences. Crestwood High was known not just for its academic mediocrity but for its bullies, particularly a trio of senior boys known as the Wolves, Bryce, Jet, and Caleb. These boys walked the halls like they owned them, throwing around insults, stealing snacks, mocking teachers, and intimidating anyone they deemed weak. Raina was the school's newest hire, a temporary substitute for Mr. Clive, the history teacher who'd taken emergency medical leave. She had been warned, gently but firmly, by the principal, Mrs. Dorman, this is a rough school. Don't take things personally. Just make it through the semester. But Raina nodded with calm certainty. She had not come here just to teach. She had come here for something else, something no one knew. As she entered room 204, a wave of eyes sized her up. The girls whispered, unimpressed, and the boys chuckled in mock delight. Raina greeted them softly, her voice a breath of calm in the storm, "Good morning, class." The Wolves weren't there yet. They always strolled in late. And sure enough, 10 minutes into the lesson, the door banged open. Bryce swaggered in first, chewing gum and tossing his backpack across the room. Jet followed, tall and smirking. Caleb trailed behind, scanning Raina's figure with a smirk that made a few girls giggle and a few boys snicker. They didn't take her seriously. No one did. The first few days were tough. They'd interrupt her, make animal noises while she wrote on the board, mock her pronunciation, and once Bryce even pulled out his phone and openly scrolled through memes in the middle of a lecture. But Raina never lost her cool. Not once. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't write anyone up. She just stared, quietly, observantly. And that unsettled some of them more than they realized. Behind her serene demeanor was something else, something dangerous that only the most intuitive students could faintly sense. One afternoon, during lunch duty, Raina watched from a distance as the Wolves cornered a sophomore near the vending machines, threatening to shove him inside unless he handed over his money. She stepped in, her voice even, "That's enough." Bryce turned slowly and said, "Ma'am, we're just playing." "Play somewhere else," she replied, her eyes firm. They walked away, but their eyes promised something dark. Something planned. That moment planted a seed. Rumors began spreading. Some students claimed Ms. Lou didn't even flinch when she saw a fight break out. One kid swore he saw her stop a falling stack of textbooks midair like a ninja. But the Wolves weren't scared. They were amused. They saw her as a challenge. The perfect target. And Bryce, their unspoken leader, decided to up the game. They laid the trap during a Friday morning class. Raina was writing World War II, Causes and Consequences on the board. That's when it happened. With everyone watching, Bryce stood up, slowly crept behind her, and with a disgusting smirk, slapped her behind, loud and hard enough to make the whole class gasp. Some students laughed nervously. Others froze in horror. A few recorded the moment. But no one could have predicted what came next. Raina paused, her chalk frozen midair. She turned slowly, so slowly it was terrifying. Her glasses came off. Her bun unraveled with one quick twist. And then it happened. A spinning kick, swift, controlled, devastating. Bryce's body lifted off the ground, spiraling backward, crashing into a desk so hard the legs broke. The classroom erupted into chaos. Screams, gasps, shouts. Jet lunged forward, and she pivoted with a palm strike that knocked the air from his lungs. Caleb tried to grab her arm, and she flipped him clean over her shoulder, pinning him with one knee. Security rushed in. Students recorded. Phones captured everything. But Raina didn't run. She didn't scream. She stood still, calm again, like a storm that had passed. Bryce groaned on the floor, holding his ribs. "You assaulted a teacher," she said flatly. "And I defended myself." The silence was thunderous. Everyone stared at her, not as a joke anymore, not as a pushover, but as something far more powerful. Something untouchable. The story went viral within hours. #SpinKickTeacher trended on every platform. By nightfall, the video had 5 million views. Reina sat in her modest apartment, sipping green tea, her bruised knuckles soaking in ice water. She wasn't just a substitute. She was a former national-level martial arts instructor, one who had once trained elite female bodyguards overseas. A tragedy in her past had driven her into hiding, but now the world remembered. The school board launched an investigation. Parents demanded answers. Some called for her firing. Others, many others, called her a hero. And while the administration scrambled to handle the PR storm, Reina returned the next day. Head held high. This time, the halls parted as she walked. No whispers. No chuckles. Just awe. Because Crestwood High had just learned the hardest way possible: you never mess with the quiet one. And you never, ever touch a woman who has spent years training to protect herself and others. If you've been gripped by this powerful story so far, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for Chapter 2, because what happens next will shake the school to its core, and uncover a past even more shocking than Reina's kick. Stay tuned, this isn't just a school story, it's a movement.